rock and roll!
Well, judging from the carving on your desk, it looks like his name is Ozzy.
Yes, and apparently he rules.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So, Disney named a new CEO. It's going to be Josh D'Amaro. As we predicted, as is obvious from every news outlet and every metric, I think this is probably a good idea. It's interesting that it went this way because if you remember, Bob Chapek also was the head of the parks and experiences. And he got ousted and kicked out. But the reason why I think it's good is because of what's going on at Galaxy's Edge, meaning D'Amaro, who's a Generation X, so he's kind of like one of us, and he's probably not woke. He's not an outsider. He's one of your classic Disney CEOs. He's coming up in the ranks, kind of like Bob Iger, even if Bob Iger was a weatherman once, and D'Amaro definitely isn't. It makes me feel kind of comfortable with him. He's not a known entity, but because I think this generation, we were the ones that were screaming bloody murder at the sequels and all the woke shit that we saw. I think hopefully D'Amaro is one of us, that he can get the creatives and the talent to do good work, but not go overboard on the DEI crap. They have to figure out where they can film and do TV shows outside of California. Because then they don't have to worry about DEI at all. Because if you remember, tax incentives for filming and TV shows in California are huge. And you only get the tax incentives is if you sprinkle your cast with, quote, diverse, quote, people who more than likely aren't as talented as they could be, and aren't right for the part, right? Case in point, Lupita, what's her name, as Helen of Troy, we'll just put that out there, okay? Anyway, so Iger is officially out. This is it. He's not coming back either. Again, as you all know, I had a lot of respect for him. I didn't like the way that he let Kennedy push him around. The difference between him and somebody like D'Amaro is D'Amaro obviously is Italian, and the attitude is way different. Generation X, and I don't really see a Generation X CEO putting up with Kathleen Kennedy or any awfuls bullshit. I really, really don't. But, according to Variety, the Disney board was never serious about bringing somebody from the outside, even though there were reports that they were looking that way. Chairman James Gorman, who used to be the head of Morgan Stanley, which means gigantic balls, by the way, people, he basically took his time and only concentrated on the CEO. Because the CEO is basically the the head of the company that faces the public. And that's really important. And it's a huge job. Remember the people that were CEOs of Disney: Walt, his brother Roy, Michael Eisner. These are people that understood what Disney was about, and it's reaching out to families and entertaining them. And what I mean by family, mom, dad, and kids, right? But this is, I think, big news across the board because there's so much they haven't reported. And I want to get to that on the other side because, and talk about other things that are going on. So we will see you on the other side of the videos.
I've been basking in it for the last 30 minutes. My God. I feel like a seafront village after the Vikings have left.
Money.
Money? Oh, but what's money to an artist? To a philosopher, it's just a green-colored paper that floats in and out of his life like snow. It's nothing you actually have to, work for, is it, Troy?
Anybody feel like when they look at him, he's going to say, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse? Just kidding. So Gen X has now taken over Disney. And I think that's a good thing because, again, we're the ones screaming loudest about the woke crap. And we're the ones that have the money. And we're sick and tired of, being told we don't count. Generation that has been lost in the shuffle between very loud generations of people who pretended they were victims and aren't, but that's another story. Anyway, back to Josh D'Amaro. So he's been there at the company for a long, long time. James Gorman, who's the chairman of the board, decided after a long time of examining the succession that D'Amaro would be a good guy. And I'm going to tell you guys something about James Gorman. You all know he was the head of Morgan Stanley, which means he's a badass, which means that he doesn't take shit from anybody, and he's got a giant set, if you know what I mean. So him coming in to Disney, I think, is the big deal here. And once they start talking about D'Amaro, it was pretty much kind of settled. And like I said, all the things going on at Disney parks, especially Galaxy's Edge, tells me that this has been a thing for a long time, that he would come in. And you gotta remember how big Disney is. How many movie studios and film studios they have, and the parks and everything that they have, TV and everything. And the CEO balances all of that, right? So what happened with Dana Walden? Well, she's co-chair of Disney Entertainment with Alan Bergman. And that's basically number two. So, if something, like I've said this before, I'll say it again. If something happens out there where she feels like she could go and to a different place and actually run it, be the CEO or the head president of a company, she'll do that. That'll be a lateral move. You never just take a job if the job is anything lower than what you've already had. You want to either go to do a lateral move or go up, right? And she can't really go up anymore at Disney. I don't, I know that there were probably people screaming, we need a female as head of the Walt Disney Company. Well, no, we don't. We've seen what women do in situations like that, Kathleen Kennedy being the example. And, there's a difference between being a Generation X guy and a Gen X girl. And all you have to do is look at the governor of Virginia. She's batshit crazy. But, this is the succession to Bob Iger. And we see the differences happening at the parks already, which is where DeMauro was working. He was the head of the parks. And, we just go from there. We just, go, merrily we go along, and we see what happens next. I'm gonna be watching Disney's stock today because I think if they had named Dana Walden, it would go down. So hopefully Disney will get a pat on the back from Wall Street. And, the reality is Wall Street, their opinions are really the only ones that matter. And if they see that Disney's not doing their best to earn money and to earn investors dividends, and that they will repay in kind, right? That's what they do. So there's a lot of serious thought that went into Josh DeMauro. And to be honest, I look at James Gorman and I trust him because I know what he's about. And I trust Josh DeMauro because of what's going on at Galaxy's Edge now and the things I've heard, from people who are working with the Imagineers. If DeMaro's anything like the rest of us, we're sick and tired of Ray. And there you have it. Anyway, wanted to put this out there. Josh DeMauro is now CEO of the Walt Disney Company. And to Bob Iger, happy retirement. Enjoy your new yacht. And enjoy that female soccer team. Why you want that, I don't know. This is Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.
Ready, everybody?
All set.
Here we go again.